The arts are such an important part of the overall fabric of what happens in St. Louis. It is one of our strengths, one of our jewels, the arts of all kinds and in all levels. There isn't a neighborhood, there isn't a place where there aren't people making art. There isn't a place where there's not a musician in the basement, you know, playing jams with his buddies. We walk around and we see incredible architecture. There are painters everywhere. There are dancers, and these people are our neighbors. They are part of who we are, and they are part of what makes St. Louis great.
St. Louis Public Radio covers not only the big institutions, but the small artists with the interesting, different little idea.
We can take people that are interested in like Cherokee Street and expose them to things that are of interest at the symphony. We can take people from the symphony who are and expose them to things that are happening at galleries they might not know of, and kind of give that option to people interested.
When people get coverage, it actually is an instrumental part of their getting a grant. So it certainly helps struggling and beginning artists to grow and prosper.
I had the opportunity to curate for a private art gallery, and I think part of that was due to some of the coverage that I received in general, and I think the coverage through NPR was an important part of that.
Not only talk about the actual project itself, but actually talk about the families that were being portrayed in the project. So it gave that, you know, outside of just the artist painting, they actually gave that human, real touch.
We revisit stories, so it's not just that we like do a story and let it disappear. The reporting is kind of elliptical in a way that it will come back, that story, again and again, so that you can hear like the development of that community without it necessarily being redundant.
You know, where's it going to go? Is it going to be successful? How many people is it going to involve? How many people is it going to affect? You know, what's going to be the final outcome? And we want to know. We want to follow that through. Is this going to be a successful project? If it's not, what are they going to learn from it? You know, and how's it going to be different next time?
When we were covering what was going on in our community that was spurred by Ferguson, St. Louis Public Radio wasn't afraid to talk with artists who were working on the ground there and who actually were sometimes part of the protests themselves. So that courage, that ability to talk with artists and what their art means outside of music halls and studios, St. Louis Public Radio gave people a forum for being able to talk about that.
When there are outlets like St. Louis Public Radio that have taken on the task of shining light on those things, that gives the artists more confidence and taking those risks, and it also lets the world know and the community at large that it's happening. And that's how scenes are born, and that's how creative ideas circulate.
You know, in the 5 years that we've been having the broadcast with St. Louis Public Radio, we've really seen an uptick in single ticket sales for the orchestra and in an awareness of what the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra represents. There's something about having these broadcasts and having them through St. Louis Public Radio and with the kind of stature that National Public Radio has in the United States, seeing people really take notice of this. And these are the things that we need something like radio to do, and we need people who are as passionate and interested as the people on St. Louis Public Radio. And you can hear this from the broadcasts, and we see it reflected in the audiences that we get in the hall.
It's going to take empathy, not apathy, to change the world. And that's the one almost superpower that artists have, whatever medium. We can put feeling into words and into objects and into film and into a painting. And those things can bring people together and get people to realize the similarities and not the differences.
I have so much freedom to go find those stories that I love to cover, and it's just incredible. I have the best job in the world at St. Louis Public Radio.